everyone, it's the Jazzical man, Joel Martin, to tell you a little story, and it's all true, about the true origins of Jazzical meets Menken. Now, everything about the video is very much true. It was a benefit, it was at the music hall in Tarrytown, it did feature Alan, and I was the guest artist. My story is not about that concert. My story is about the events leading up to that concert. It was about 10 o'clock in the morning, and I said to my wife, I think it'd be great if I took Dasha, my only daughter at the time, to the concert. I figured she'll love the music, she'll love the people, Chloe was there, it'll be fabulous. Luba said, well, I don't know. Я не знаю. I said, well, why? She said, well, you're not going to have a lot of time to spend with her. You'll be very busy. You have rehearsals. You have this. You have that. And, it just didn't seem like the right thing to do. So we're going to keep her here at home. I said, are you sure? She said, yeah, I feel pretty strong about this. I said, okay. So about 2 o'clock, I left that afternoon to go to Tarrytown from Massachusetts. Around 4 o'clock, or a little bit before that, I was passing the Ridgefield, Danbury, Connecticut, that whole 84 corridor. And just as I was getting into the area, smoke started coming out of the vents. And so I immediately pulled over and looked at. There was no smoke. The car is still running. I said, all right, well, maybe it was just an anomaly or something. Maybe it's exhaust from another car or something. I don't know. So I continued to drive. And about 3 miles later, the car filled up with smoke in a matter of seconds. I mean, thick, black-gray smoke. I mean, it was smoking like someone turned a faucet on. It was just everywhere. And I'm going 75 miles an hour. And I don't know if you know what that corridor is, but there's not a whole lot of room to get off. You can't just get off the road. And meanwhile, there are trucks and there are cars and they're bearing down on me. And I'm just freaking out at this point because I can't get off. The car is filled with smoke. I mean, it was like a factory going on. And I couldn't pull over. And so I called up my friend Ann Rose. I said, Ann, I'm on 84. I think I'm in trouble. What's wrong, Joel? My car! It's smoking! It's on fire! Something is wrong. Well, Joel, you have to get up. I said, duh. Yeah, if I could only do that. Meanwhile, I'm choking on this. I'm just choking on the smoke. I'm like, I can't get off the road. No one is letting me over. Ann said, well, look, I'll get right on the road right now and I'll meet you. Just find a way to pull over. And I said, I can't. I'm out of time. I'm out of time. And I dropped the phone because at that point I realized I was suffocating, even though I had the windows down, even though it just wasn't working. So I went about a mile or so like this, and really getting ready to pass out when there was an opening. And so I pulled over just in the nick of time and jumped out of the car. The car was still on, and I ran away from it because I didn't know what was going on. Now, meanwhile, it's about 4 o'clock right now, and I'm going, oh my God, I have to be at rehearsal. It's Alan's show. I have to rehearse with Chloe, with the choir, and I have to do my thing with the trio for Under the Sea, and this was a disaster in the making. And there it was with the smoking car. 15 minutes later, the car stopped smoking. And I said, this is really weird. So I got in the car. The car was filthy. Oh my God, it was just crazy. And turned the car back on. No smoke. So I drove. I drove all the way to Mount Kisco, New York, and Chloe's daughter, Daphne, picked me up and took me to rehearsal. I was covered in smoke. It was awful. It was just awful. And, and when I called, I said, well, I'm going to be a few minutes late. They said, well, what happened? I said, well, my car blew up. And they were like, what? I said, really? My car blew up. And so I arrived. It was about 15 minutes after 5. We rehearsed, and then the rest of the concert went off without a hitch. But the running joke was, okay, we've got the smoky, fiery Joel Martin here, whose car just blew up on the highway, and it was just too funny, and of course Alan made some jokes after the show, and it was just really a funny time, and I managed to get through it intact, and the rest of the concert was fabulous. The next morning, I got the car towed to the local gas station in Mount Kisco. The mechanic looks at the car and calls me in and says, Joel, you were lucky. You were so lucky. He was like, you drove all the way from Richfield, Connecticut, here with this car? I said, yeah, it wasn't smoking. He goes, did you see the back seat? I said, no, I had no time. It was like, I just had to get out of the car, put my clothes on, get in the other car, and go to the rehearsal. He said, well, you might want to take a look at this. The fire started underneath the car. The muffler went. It overheated. It just lit up everything like it was a Christmas tree. Burned through all the rubber. Burned through, the cushion seating. Burned through everything. And it was literally 6 inches away from the gas line. And he was like, don't ever do that ever again. You could have blown up in pieces and no one would have ever have known, because it would have been over for you. He was like, you are the luckiest man I've ever met. And at that point I realized, wow, I almost got killed because I had to get to this gig. But I'm glad that I didn't. And that's my story. Yes, I do have the photo. And yes, it was pretty awful and very ugly. I'm very lucky. 4 years plus later, here we are. I'm about as safe as can be and plan on remaining this way. So, I hope you enjoyed that story. Jazzical Menken. Jazzical meets Menken. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Peace!